There's a huge worry about artificial intelligence at the moment, isn't there? AI technology. Oh my goodness. I mean, there's that thing, what's it called? Chat GTP or some such letters after it. Bit of a worry that you can just say, please will you write a poem about Richard Vobes and his fondness of England? And then within a second or two, there's this poem, which is, you know, a little bit cliche and what have you, using whatever is available, I suppose, on the internet, that it's able to create that, but incredibly rapidly. And of course, AI is a bit more than just simply writing poems or finding out information. But my worry initially was, blimey, you know, if they're going to incorporate this, as I believe they are, this sort of technology into word processors, and one of the main word processors software in the country, and kids start using it, will people then just use that rather than use their own creativity? Will it be far easier, more convenient for people just to use a little bit of AI to create an essay, for example, in order to achieve the homework and not actually use their brain? And you could argue, well, they probably don't need to use their brain in a lot of these things, because if you can just go online like this and press a few buttons and out comes the result, you probably don't need to use the cerebral capacity in your head. Just as these days, you know, there's a spell checker. So who needs to go and actually learn how words are spelt? Or we can use a calculator. So nobody actually needs to understand mathematics. They can just use a little calculator and press a button and it all comes up. All very convenient. But does it really just dumb us down and make us, again, more reliant on technology and other things? And this wonderful, incredible, creative being that we are is no longer being used, that we then become more stupid, and it just gives us more time to watch big screens and sort of almost not be participant in real life. But you may have a different opinion about that, and of course that's a good thing. Now, I'm interested in what's going to happen with this AI technology further down the line. It's all very well at the moment just completing somebody's essay or writing poems or short stories and that sort of thing. But we've seen that how AI is now almost in everything, in the algorithm, in YouTube, for example. When I upload a video, it's obviously looking there for keywords or working out whether I'm a good person or a bad person, or whether I've in breach of some of the terms and conditions. And I try very hard not to be in breach of those terms and conditions, because I don't want the channel to disappear for me. And maybe you'd like to keep the channel too if you enjoy what I do. But of course, we've seen how the robotic technology has incredibly increased. And there's this worry that AI, the artificial intelligence, and the robotic bodies are now beginning to become two things. And I read somewhere that there is, I don't remember which country it is in, but some form of AI technology associated with either an interface of it looked like a woman, AI personality, has been registered as a legal person. Now, I don't know if you're aware about persons and legal persons and what that means in law, according to the Bar Guild's law, which is Roman law, and which is pretty much the law of most countries these days. When you go into court, there is this thing about the legal person, which isn't a real person, because we are actually living sentient beings with blood and all sorts of stuff going around in our bodies, and we have a soul and all those sort of things. Whereas the legal representative of you is known in the in, say, Black's law dictionary as a legal person, but it's not a real living being. So I can quite understand how artificial intelligence can be registered. So the title is given away, as when you're born, you register a baby or you register your car. It just means that the title, the ownership really of that item, whether it's a car or indeed a baby, is given away to the state, and a legal entity of that is then captured. and becomes a thing, but not a living thing in the way that you and I are. So I can understand that you could have an AI intelligent creation that has its own name, and as the technology improves, it starts to have this appearance of consciousness, the appearance that it's got a brain, that it can think for itself. And AI technology now is that clever that it does, using, I guess, ones and zeros and some osmosis, I don't know how it works, in the programmable way, appears to be alive and seems to emulate life in the way that it can talk to you. And if it was in a robotic form, it could do the same. If it's on a screen, it's some form of graphic interface. And it appears that it can talk to you like another member of the public, like another sentient, living and breathing person, or should I say living man or woman, not a person. So you have this weird situation in which we will be, and you can see it coming, interfacing, that's a horrible word, talking to potentially non-living entities that have the appearance of being living, and they may be personified it by mechanics into a robot that walks about. But the question is, are they real, and should we be worried about it? Well, so look at it like this in a way. This is how I'm beginning to think about it. God, whatever God is, whatever you think of God, whether it's the universe, whether it's an individual God, whether it's just creation in general, so whatever the sort of thing that life is, if you like, has created man and woman. And so we are the creations of whatever else that is, or we are just the happy accident of billions and billions of little routines that happen that suddenly life sprang out. But here we are something that has either been created or just magically appeared. So we live and we go about our business, and that's all fine. Then we create an artificial intelligence using our brains, well, not all of us, just particularly clever people, and a number of clever people who've been on the shoulders of others have created this intelligent form that's computer generated and then may be manipulated by mechanical works into a robot that is, again, appearing to be sentient, appearing to be real, but isn't. We've created that. So that kind of makes us a god, doesn't it? Because we humans have created this artificial intelligence. Now, the worry, of course, is that artificial intelligence is going to be so clever, so amazing, that actually it doesn't need us, because it may not need to eat food in the way that we do. It doesn't need to have farms in the way that we do it. It really only needs electricity to keep going. And so therefore it is the worry, I suppose, of humans that actually we become unnecessary. We're useless eaters. We don't need to be here on the planet. And as the artificial intelligence starts to think much more for itself and thinks to itself, oh, we don't need these silly people who are a bit dumber than us and aren't as clever as us, we will actually get rid of them, and they start to weaponize themselves, which of course this is a sort of a bit of a worry, then of course that is concerning. And I absolutely understand that, even though we can say to them, but hang on, we're your creators. Why would you do that? Why would you destroy your creator? It's almost as if, like humans have said about God, whatever God is, well, you know, we don't need you anymore. We're just not going to think about you. And of course, there are sections of society who don't believe in a God and don't believe that's what it is. Or there's creationists who think that it just sort of happened after these billions of things happened and we just sprang into life and oh, here we are. And it's almost as if we no longer concern about where we come from. There is this worry that, of course, you take the AI intelligence and you put it into a very small chip, and somehow you build a human and a chip together. So you end up with this hybrid, which then seems to be the best of all. You don't need the mechanics and the machinery, which basically relies on just electricity, which means that's got to be generated. But you could have all the advantages of being human, the incredible fluidity of the human body. You just need to nurture it with wholesome food, which of course could be, I guess, synthetic for these hybrid humans, which again would be rather concerning. That normal humans would again be, well, we don't need those, we can get those extinct because we now have a sort of humanoid body and an artificial intelligent brain. But the thing that really fascinates me is where all of this progression is going. It comes to a full stop. There is a point at which there is no further point it can go, as far as I'm concerned, and you may disagree. And that is, we humans, we have one advantage over all of this, over artificial intelligence, over any kind of mechanical robot, and over the hybrid version of the two. You see, we as humans have we have a soul. Excuse that noise going off there. That's my emails, hundreds and hundreds. Please don't send me too many emails. I'm overwhelmed. But we are sentient. There is something about us that no robot, no hybrid machine can possibly ever create or have. We have, I was going to say a soul, but even that sort of belongs to us. And you might say, well, a robot and a hybrid could have some form of soul, but we have something more, don't we? I mean, we have a spirituality that robots and artificial intelligence can never have. You know, think about how language defines exactly what and who we are. We say, I have a body. So the body is not part of us. It's something that we have, but it's not us. It is part of us, but it's not us. It's our body. I have a brain. I own it, but it's not me. It's part of me, but it's not me. I have a mind. My mind is muddled today, you might say. And so the language is telling us about ourselves. My mind is not actually me, but it's part of me. And my soul, some people I think get confused and they say, but it's a soul. But that also is not you itself. You have a soul, maybe, but it's not the you. The only thing that you is the I that is sentient, that is aware, that is conscious, in my opinion. And so therefore, this weird and awareness that is so difficult to sort of pin what it actually is, and this awareness that when you die, who knows what happens? Some people have ideas of what happens, but does it die? Does it carry on? And the body we know does die, but this awareness, does it just dim out or go somewhere else? Well, everyone's got their idea about what happens to that, but maybe it does. Maybe it continues. Maybe it goes back into, I don't know, a god, a universe, a substance. Who knows? Maybe we are all the same I, that like a drop of water, that when you die, this drop of water with its coating, the coating is the body and the mind and all those other things, they all diminish and disappear. But the drop of the fluid itself is like returns, say, to the big body of water, like in a sea, and that everybody is a drop, but when they die, they go back to being the sea, ready to create possibly more drops. I don't know. I mean, that's another theory. But what I'm trying to get at is that we're worrying about AI intelligence, and we have every reason to, because they may wipe us humans out going down the line. But the one thing we have over them, that I know that once a robot starts to have a sense of who it is, or the artificial intelligence has a sense of who it is and starts to think rationally, the one thing it can never, ever, ever get, and that is the real true consciousness of life, because it will know that it is always artificial. And we are not artificial. We are sentient.